Well, hello, hello. Getting some things going here today. Welcome to the Windy J D&D Guild. I am Windy J, and I am homebrewing today. I'm trying to get a few things going because I have not done a lot of homebrew lately, and there are definitely some things that I need to work on for my campaign setting of Olivos. And so that's what I get to work with a little bit today. So I'm just trying to get some music going here for us. I know a little lo-fi might not be a bad idea. See, there we go. And so we should be able to hear a few things at any rate. See if I can get some of that music to pop through my speakers too, so I can enjoy the same music that y'all are. There we go. That's a little bit better. So, I'm glad to be able to get back on again. Today I'm focusing on... Ooh, that's a little hot there. Today I'm focusing on a Druid subclass I've been looking at for a while that I haven't had a chance to do as much as I wanted to. I've been talking to my kid about it because he's a D&D freak just like me, and he's particularly strong at catching all of the little elements that I hadn't considered before. And so we're going to try and get that solved today. I'm going to try and pull it up here so we can do it. And I am going to pull some information from some good old-fashioned advanced D&D publications that are on the DM's Guild as well. Nope, that's not the right file. Let's try that again. This one right here. There we go. That's the one. So what I'm trying to do is create a Druid subclass for a specific region in my campaign setting called it's really the Underdark, but it's in a specific section of the Underdark in particular, and so that's what I'm going to be getting into a bit today if I can. And so what I've kind of been trying to balance myself with is just my own little ideas, as well as some things that actually work mechanically as well, and I haven't been doing it so great. So I'm gonna pull this up if I can. I'm really hoping, because my tech was being very unfriendly with me yesterday, as my game players would attest to. So let's pull something up here so that you guys can see it. There we go. That's not showing up, and I don't know why that's not showing up, so I'll have to see if I can get that solved. Let's see here. That is under here. Let's see if we can get that to work again. Huzzah. There we go, with some weird flippy nonsense happening. So let's do that. Maybe there we go. That's the stuff. So I've now learned that anytime I have a browser window open, my video capture devices decide to have their own little conniptions. But so this is what I've been working on right here. What is this idea of a deep druid, a druid of the Underdark, if you will? And so I have a whole bunch of stuff that I've already done for my druids in my campaign setting, like right there, what you see right there, all up in here. And so I've kind of been very clear about where you're likely going to find some of these other druid subclasses, but then I get this guy here, my Circle of the Deep Druid, and I'm not happy with a number of the things that I put there, with the exception of this. So this is the spell. It's a bit of a play on the reincarnation spell that is already in the player's handbook, but this spell is specifically to... It does a little bit of an adjustment to it in that no matter what you do when you try to reincarnate this person, you're going to reincarnate them as a dark version of themselves. So if they were a dwarf, good, now they're a Duergar. Were they an elf? Great, now they're drow. Were they a gnome? Great, now there's First Neblin. And how that could potentially look out for all of the other sub races that are in there, or other races that are in D&D as well. And so I've got this spell, which is great because I have to have a spell like this to line up with the lore. However, how do I build this into a subclass? Because there's definitely going to be... Here's the deal. We got Seos. This is the United Hordes of Stiag, I should say. Seos is the capital city of it. But the United Hordes of Stiag, they have this region to the east of where most of the campaigns have already been, and it's a monster kind society. And so what's important to know is that there's something that happens in the Underdark in this area that doesn't really click in, that doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense to anybody there. All we have are these people just keep showing up in the Underdark. They end up showing up as corpses, and for no good reason. The vast majority of the time, in fact, the only thing people know is that it is likely that there are always going to be elves that appear in the Underdark under the United Hordes of Stiag, and so we have this Druid group, this Druid circle that exists. This Druid circle exists under the United Hordes of Stiag in the Underdark, and they've made it their entire business to revive these people that just with no reason to appear in the Underdark. These elves that appear in the Underdark. So most of the Druids are probably going to be elvish, but it doesn't have to be. Nonetheless, they're definitely Druids of the Underdark, so we have to have a Circle of the Deep Druid subclass, and so that's what I'm kind of working on here. With my Circle of the Deep Druid subclass, I also want to make sure that I'm not I'm trying to make it somewhat unique, but not completely unique, of course. I need to make sure that it still fits the mechanics, and so, and actually now that I'm thinking about it, see that, don't do that, there we go, solved. Okay, so the mechanics are telling me all subclasses, all subclasses have different things they get at different levels. I'm actually just going to pull up what some of that stuff is. I don't want the marketplace, I want my compendium. There we go. I'm in my Roll20 compendium right now, trying to pull some stuff up. I'm going to go to, what do you say we go to Tasha's? Because Tasha's has the Circle of the Wildfire Spirit, and I'm afraid of becoming too close to that. I don't want to get too close to the Circle of Wildfire, but what I'm also using is some stuff from the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, and I'll kind of post that up here for you guys too. So Circle of Wildfire, they're going to get their Druid spell lists, and then they're going to get their second level circle feature. They're going to get a 6th level feature, 10th level feature, 14th level feature. And that's pretty much the way it is for all the Druid subclasses. Depending on how that 2nd level feature is, some of them get 2 things there. Some of them get only 1 thing at the 2nd level. It really kind of depends on how that all, on how that particular class's powers or how strong those abilities are at the 2nd level that they get. So like for Circle Spores, they get 2 things at 2nd level. They get their Halo Spores, they get their Symbiotic Entity. But with just the Circle of Wildfire, they only get that Wildfire Spirit. They get their Circle spells as well. But aside from the Circle spells, they, just like all the other classes get, they only get 1 thing. It's that Circle of Wildfire Spirit. So I had some fun ideas. My first idea was, I see it coming up here. First one was this idea of being able to see, of course, easily in the Underdark, and how that can enhance your ability to see through darkness. One of the things that this Circle of the Deep Druid is supposed to do is be able to help guide people through the Underdark who have never been there before, and so they've now developed unique magical ways of being able to do that. The ability to pass vision from one person to another is another thing that I wanted to build into this. And then I got stuck on the 10th level, and I hated my 10th level stuff. And so I started doing a little bit more research, and these are some things I came up with. And I came up with these from like I said, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, where is that? Where can I admit? That's the DMV. There we go. That's the one. So there. Okay. So now you can see. This is the book I was using. This Quintessential Dwarf. Hey, Dak. I'm glad to have you with me, man. I'm trying to do Druid subclasses right now, and I'm feeling stumped, and I hate the feeling of being stumped. I'm gonna point this one out though. This Quintessential Dwarf. This is old school stuff. Well, not quite completely old school stuff. It's oldish. This is where I got it from. It's from Drive Through RPG or DM's Guild. This quintessential dwarf came from, let's see when it was published. Published in. It's not telling me when it was published. There it is, 2002. So like this is advanced D&D, like second edition kind of stuff. And it's also the only place that I was able to find anything about Druids of the Deep that anybody's ever created before. And so that's kind of where I'm going to, is I'm using their ideas, because they really do have some great ideas, and I'm going to kind of adjust them for Olivos. And where is it? Look at all these wonderful things they put in here. So we're getting to some there it is, Deeping Druid. So that's what they had. They had this Deeping Druid, but it was very specific to the Dwarvish race. And that's not unusual for Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition. Just 5th edition is supposed to be a little bit more anybody can be anything kind of feel. And so I'm trying to do the same thing. So the problem though, and this is where my dilemma comes. I'm welcoming ideas from chat if you guys have any. But my problem is that the Deeping Druid that was published here by Mongoose Publishing, one of the first things it gets, let's see here, is this companion as well, which is basically like the wildfire spirit, but instead of a fire elemental, it's an earth elemental, which is great, except then it feels like it's like a duplication of what already exists. And not so much a 2E. I'm not a 2E DM. I'm a 2E researcher, if you will, because I honestly was introduced to Dungeons and Dragons. What year is this? This is 2022 now. I guess I'm getting close to 4 years, and so I really only have ever known 5th edition directly. I've never played 2nd edition, but I've had to do a lot of reading of 2nd edition stuff and getting my mind wrapped around a lot of what they did there, because frankly some of the best lore came from 3.5 edition, 2 edition, and even the 1st edition lore was actually pretty spectacular too. And I'm a lore freak. I love my lore. So yeah, it is an underground thing. It's oh, there, see, Dak, you get to help me help me learn some of this stuff then too. The lore thing is why I kind of go back through that research. This particular druid subclass I'm going for is Underdark for sure, totally Underdark. Trying to connect this Underdark druid to the lore that happens in Olos, in my homebrew setting, where they keep on finding these corpses in the Underdark, and they end up it's become part of the Circle's duty to go seek out possible ways that these things are created, or these corpses arrive, and revive them if they can, of course, because they're druids of life. Even though they're in the Underdark, they're druids of life, so trying to say that these guys are not supposed to be they're arriving for no good reason, and they're not being dead by natural means. Let's bring them back. And it really, there is some secret lore I'm not sharing right now, because it could become part of a campaign later on, but that's what they know, and so that's what we're trying to create with this Circle of the Deep Druid. He's a fun guy then. Oh, Dak, I love your puns, I really do. Okay, introduced to D&D via 2nd edition. Most of my experience came from there, then moved on to 5th edition, because since most people play that, and it's extremely hard to find 2E group. I know. The reason why 5th edition is so popular though is because it's so accessible. 2nd edition is deep, and the rules are multi-layered, way more than even 5th edition is, for people who are like, I'm reading 5th edition and saying, I can connect to this, but holy crap, there's a lot of rules. They look at the character sheet and they kind of freak out. 2nd edition, there was more to it than that, and you needed to be really good with the background and the rules and such in order to be able to do it well. But then when you were, some of the best stories would come out of it. So yeah, 5th edition is definitely good because it's really helped people connect to this whole Dungeons and Dragons craze that seems to be happening right now. I never knew of Dungeons and Dragons as something that could be mainstream. I feel like it totally could be mainstream now. So, um, yeah, and I've been I'm wanting to actually go over that Van Richten's guides, mostly before I do a lot of stuff with Cursed Strahd, because really there's that obviously direct connection there, but yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff, in there. Okay, so getting back to this Circle of the Deep Druid, so I got to come up with second level stuff. Hey, let's do this. I got to come up with second level stuff. I got to come up with maybe two of them, maybe two. Wow, my rating sucks today, guys. Maybe two. I got to come up with a 6th level thing. I got to come up with a 10th level thing, and I got to come up with a 14th level thing. And I wanted to pull out some of the ideas from. Yeah, they have changed. Yeah, and by the way, just to be clear, we don't talk about 4th edition like we don't talk about Bruno. I think they made a mistake there. There's a lot of, and I appreciate a lot of the lore. You kind of have to actually allow some of the lore that came from 4th edition in, but there is a necessity to be willing to be a little bit more liberal with how you use it, because it was so questionable. 3.5. I actually wouldn't mind finding a 3.5 DM for me to play somewhere along the way, because there was some pretty cool stuff there too. But again, they were getting complicated, and not accessible for the average Joe, and certainly not accessible enough in a way that I would be able to introduce the game to a whole bunch of people too. So, challenges. That's all we'll say. We'll just call them challenges. Yeah, I agree. Well, and I think that you've got a little bit of that with our campaigns that happened on Thursday, Xander. Varod, I mean, they're obviously visiting Ravenloft, but Varod actually goes a little bit more into it than that, and that's kind of cool. And Varod's the DM of our Curse of Strahd campaign on Thursday mornings, and it streams right here too. So they're currently doing a lot more visiting right now in the game, but that's not where he wants to keep it. He's actually gone through and explored and done a lot of stuff with it with his characters, and so that's kind of cool when you can see DMs actually explore the setting a bit more. A lot of players tend to run the risk of becoming basically murder hobos and let's just find the next attack, even in 5th edition. But that doesn't necessarily fly here at the guild, because I'm such a lore freak. I'm such a roleplay freak. I love seeing those things come out when they do. And when you purposefully allow the exploration of the setting, it really kind of opens up the possibilities for all of that too. So, yeah, if you want, you can check it out on Thursday. He's exploring. Okay, so second level. So here's what the Deeping Druid had from Mongoose Publishing. This is 2nd edition stuff. So he had the ability to do the Spider Climb spell. Cool. So when I do my circle of the deep Druid spells. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Dak. I appreciate that. What are experience needs for 3.0 and 3.5? A bit. You need to have a little bit of a D&D experience. I think this is the one challenge that I'm afraid of when it comes to 5th edition and whatever else Wizards decides to come up with afterwards, is because it is so accessible. If you try to go backwards, it's gonna get harder. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, you mean to get to higher? I have no idea. Honestly, that one I am going to admit my limited knowledge there. 3.0 and 3.5. I haven't had a lot of experience. Like I said, I go into them mostly for the lore, and through the lore kind of get an idea as to what the settings were like. I actually really liked. There was a lot of problems with 4th edition. However, some of the encounters that I would read about being published in 4th edition, like the ones you would see in some of the Dragons magazines, there were some really great encounters there, really great stories. And so if you could take the stories and the lore from any of those original, from any of those previous editions and port them into 5th edition, you got some pretty awesome stuff in 5th edition if you port them. So It 3.5 is the closest one, I think. Yeah, I think, Dak, you're right. It's probably closest to the 5th edition. But yeah, still going backwards, you're still going to get confused. That's all there is to it. Second E fighter to get to level 2 was a 2,000. Yeah, and I think experience points looks wildly different now too. Like getting to second level for anybody is only 900 experience. 900? No, that's not right. Hang on. First level, yeah, 900 experience points. So, trying to balance all of the classes, that's honestly not a bad idea to try to balance all the classes, because especially if you want to have the party kind of move together. So, but that wasn't what they were built for. That isn't what they were built for. Is it 300? 300, 900 must be level 3. I also can't keep all the facts straight. So I have books, because this thing's already full. My hard drive is already full, I think, sometimes. So yeah, that's right. That makes more sense. Okay, cool. So they have a companion, which is great, but they have that stone walk. They have let's see here. And then they give us some details about this elemental, and it's an earth elemental that you create this bond with. Later on, you get Assault of the Earth, where you can actually take stone that surrounds you and basically give you like a stone armor kind of thing. Underland's Defense. You strengthen your bond with your Earth so that your flesh becomes stronger. The Assault of the Earth. You can actually use the rocks to throw basically magic stone people. So I would probably just turn that thing into a magic stone spell that they would achieve. Magmic Embrace. This is the one I actually want to keep. So at 5th level in 2nd edition. So gonna have to make sure that we balance that appropriately for what I port it to. And this is the thing that I really want to pull. So this Magmic Embrace, and I put it right here. I like that. I like the Underland's Defense. I like the Assault of the Earth. I kind of like the Deep Companion, but Circle of Wildfire's already doing that. So I also have these other things that I had kind of brainstormed previously. So here's the Circle of Spells list that I had started with for the Circle of the Deep Druid. It's right here. This is my Circle spells that I started with, and I created that Deep Reincarnation spell. Yeah, I agree with you on the Dark Vision, and so I kind of created this little 2nd level thingy here that says you've become more aware of the underground movement, you have Dark Vision of 60 feet, or if you've already got Dark Vision, we just add an extra 30 feet to it. And you can see through magical darkness as if it were dim light, so kind of taking that in, building that in seems like a must. I think you're totally right about that. The Path Through the Pitch thing is another thing I really wanted to do, but I'm not sure how I want to do this. So this is the idea that when these Underdark Druids find these corpses and revive them through their Deep Reincarnation spells, or whatever else they've got, they then reacclimatize these creatures who have now lost their memories of what their previous life was, but have magically appeared as a corpse in the Underdark. And they help them kind of reacclimate to their surroundings, but now they're dark versions of themselves, right? So these corpses may have been in their previous life wild elves or high elves or dwarves, but when they're reincarnated through this deep reincarnation ritual that the Deep Druids have, they're reincarnated as drow or Duergar or Smurf Neblin or other dark versions of themselves. My DM never encouraged murder hobo stuff, even though we could. My DM at the time was good at making consequences of our actions be quite bad. Yeah, okay. Even when you played... Ooh, you played... Nice, okay. I still didn't engage in murder hobo behavior. You know, that's good, because as a lich, you're actually being much more conniving and methodical about what your goals are. And so it's not always about killing. It's about being creative with even if you happen to have a slightly evil bend to you. And so when you have a DM that gets you to be able to do that, that's the kind of DM you want to keep as much as possible, barring all the other things that DMs have to try to do. You know, like be respectful of the players and such. So I guess that's the only challenge. So if you're going to make some consequences be particularly dire, then you have to be ready for some fairly frustrated players, and you got to deliver it to them in a way that like, no, dudes, this is what's going to happen. Be clear about it, because you want your players to come back to the table next week, right? So, DMing is a thing. DMing is it takes a lot of effort to do it right and well, and I'm still learning and I'm still growing myself. So, yeah, exactly right, Dak. Don't make it personal. Do your darndest to make it so that, because D&D is also supposed to be a bit of an escape, and that escape needs to be something that people can enjoy and connect to. Only bit to not like about my he tended to want to make a new campaign after we realized. Oh yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. DMs have this really bad problem of having 75 ideas coming through their head at all times, and they just want to deliver them all. Not all the ideas are good ideas though either, and that was my thing. Is that I had one campaign that did not turn out as great as I had hoped. Decent people in it. The players ended up getting a little bit more me than I was expecting, and I disliked that. But I know that I also didn't exactly help the situation, because I kept on coming up with these grand ideas, and I had to because I had this idea, I had to shoehorn it in. How to get Not every idea works, and so that's dangerous territory when you get into that too. 40 games. Oh my word! That would be tough. 6 games developing, but haven't run any yet. Yeah, I think that is what would I call? Somebody called this the other day for me, like starter syndrome. You don't get us started on something, and you have these wonderful ideas. You get all these plans set up, and you get the things ready to go. You just have to throw the switch, and then never throw the switch, because for me, it was never throwing the switch because I was concerned whether or not I was going to be able to commit to that time, and I needed to be fair to the players if I was going to be the DM to do that, right? But if I can't commit to the time, then that's not fair, and so if I'm worried constantly about being able to commit, the good news is about being online with these people that I play with, if I can't be there one week, they seem to be pretty okay with it. 3 weeks in a row, now they're going to get upset, but every once in a while, taking a break is not a bad thing, and I think we get that when we have to play online, because tech can be weird. Like we watched yesterday, tech was being weird. So maybe that's a good thing, because we have that access to online stuff. And if it doesn't work out, then away they go, I guess. You're starting with the process of running a game myself, though I'm starting with a campaign. So are you, like Xander, are you starting like with a published campaign? Are you starting with something different, or starting with something you've already kind of had planned out? And while you're doing that, I'm Homebrew World. Oh yeah, what is the name of your setting for your homebrew? I'm now asking you questions just like I'm trying to do my own work. I gotta work. I gotta get this done. I had this other one here too. I was thinking of it for 6th level. I'm not sure. Manage and protect. Okay. Does in like you're gonna protect some of your information there, or manage and protect? I'm not sure I follow that. I tried to do that. I tried to think. You saw the wheels going. But I was going to have them draw the shroud as well, so that they would be able to pass their or have the ability to steal vision from one person and give it to another. Oh, got it. I'm with you now. That makes sense. Okay, so I really like this feature. I think 6th level's too low for it, maybe. The ability to steal vision from one and give it to another, and saving throw to prevent that from happening. I'm already going to tell you this. I don't like this guy. I'm getting rid of him. I dislike the poison in the pitch thing. It doesn't make sense to me. And that's good. If you're going to bring in new people in, having one experienced player to sit beside the other two is never a bad thing, so long as they're patient experienced players. I guess that's the other thing. If they're patient experienced players and they're excited to see what new people do with the game, sometimes the new people are a lot of fun to play with, because they have these ideas like, can I do this? and you're like, I did not even think that would be something somebody would ever consider. Right? New players they are not limited by rules yet, and that's sometimes a good thing because you can get some awesome roleplay moments out of it. Salt of the Earth, Underlands Defense. So that's my challenge now. Is I have these two dark visiony things, the two dark visiony things that I have for my second level. But then I also have these other two that came from this Deeping Druid, and I don't know if I want to keep all of these things or if I just want to, well, really how I want to proceed. This Assault of the Earth thing that you see here, this guy right here, I don't know if you guys can even see that. It might be a little small. I wonder if I should just, like, you know, zoom in a little bit here so we can see that. Assault of the Earth. The Deeping Druids connect... This, of course, remember, Mongoose... Whoa, that was not the thing to do. There it is, okay. There it is. Assault of the Earth. Remember, like, this Deeping Druid, this is a dwarven subclass only when it was produced by the Quintessential Dwarf. Link is in the chat if you want that. I can also, if you want this Quintessential Dwarf document, it's on Drive-Thru RPG. Last dice, there's a little message here saying there's a GM's sale, GM's Day sale going on at Drive-Thru RPG too. So if you wanted to get some stuff, now's not a bad time to do it. But the Quintessential Dwarf second edition stuff, Assault of the Earth, this basically feels to me like it's Magic Stone. What spell level is Magic Stone? Magic Stone, what spell or level are you? Roll 20 compendium, come to my aid. Or brainy people in my chat, come to my aid. Or both. Okay, where are we? Player's Handbook, right there. Got it. Yeah, you kind of have to be open to what the players are going to decide. Even if they're going to go murder hobo on you, all you have to do is just give them the consequences, right? Let's go. Spells. Spell list. It's a second level. Okay, that's good. Stone trap detection, approximate depth underground. Yeah, and that's what this was here too. So Dak, you're totally on it. This path through the pitch at the bottom here. Your connection to the Underdark improves navigation, so they can see they can navigate through there. As an action, you can call on a beast. So this is this is something I want to change. This thing right here, this path through the pitch, because if I am, and this is the decision that I have to make, if I am gonna do not a wildfire spirit but an earth spirit of some sort, I'll call it the Underdark or the deep spirit or something like that, then I am probably going to have that deep spirit be able to do this path through the pitch thing. Hard to, yeah, and you know what, that's partially my fault because I am a bad writer. To be clear, let's see if I can get that. So path through the pitch. Get this so you guys can see it a bit better. There we go. Yeah, so path through the pitch. Your connection to the Underdark improves navigation. As an action, you could call on a beast, but I don't want to do it that way because Delling, like a gen from Arabia. Yeah. I'm looking that up now because I want to see what I'm talking about here. Yeah, ancestral celestial things that with, yeah, okay. No, Dowling, that's a historical character. That's not what I want to do. Ooh, pardon me, sneeze. Woo! Pardon me. Woo! It's a Sha'ir's familiar and gets the spells. Yo, okay. Okay. So that, yeah, okay, cool. Well, let's. It seems to me like it doesn't seem to bother anybody on the chat, at least, that we would actually have this companion. So this is what the Deeping Druid had here. This, I'll try to zoom in a bit more here. From Mongoose Publishing. I zoomed in too far. There it is. When this ability is gained, a portion of the Deeping Druid's spirit is combined with the essences of his familiar and animal companion. This is a little bit different, that their spirits are actually fused. The 3 souls combine, or there's 3 spirits that are fused together. There's 3 souls combined to create a deeping companion, a creature which grows in strength along with its druid and aids him in his battles. Thank you, Xander. So this is kind of a different flavor of the Wildfire Spirit. The Wildfire Spirit, which I won't put up on my screen because for whatever reason, when I put a browser window up on my screen, it makes everybody have this epileptic nightmare. But the Wildfire Spirit says you can summon the spirit instead. So if we make it so that they're actually connected, then it'll still be just enough different from the Wildfire Spirit, from the Circle of Wildfire, that it'll be actually interesting. So where druids add their proficiency bonus to the spirit stats. Totally. I'm with it. Okay, so let's write some of this stuff down. So we're going to say that at 2nd level, they are going to fuse with, I don't know if I want to do it with a familiar or animal companion. I think there's like have all of those 3 creatures in the same thing. I think what we're just going to do is have the druid spirit fuse with this fuse with the spirit of an animal companion. Although that's how I want to do it. Okay. That they take some time and basically they're going to attune to an animal companion, and that animal companion will actually fuse some of the druid spirit into it. So fuse with animal companion, a deep animal companion. And then this animal companion will have that path through the pitch ability, so that the animal companion can actually guide through the Underdark ability. I appreciate that. And then we'll make a deep spirit. We'll call this the deep spirit, deep beast of the deep. Is it a beast that I care about? Does it have to be a beast? Does it have to be a beast? Could it be some other creature that is not necessarily of the beast subclass? It's for 5th edition, Xander. Yeah, totally. I'm making this for 5th edition because I'm intending on playing this mostly with 5th edition games. So, deep companion. We'll just call it deep companion. Companion stat block. So I'll have to make a deep companion stat block with that raise of proficiency, just like you said, Deck. Exactly. That's why I was like, I don't know if I want to just limit it to beasts. Maybe we'll, like, because how many beasts are you going to find? Snakes, spiders, worms, and WOR worms, to be clear. Might need to be willing to go, yeah, that's right, that's true. Might need to be willing to have, I guess the limitation would be how many other creatures will you find down there. Maybe it's just an elemental spirit. Whip scorpions, myconids. What's the class or what kind of creature are myconid? Ooh, I can't spell myconids. Myconids. There we go. Got it. So myconid is let's see here. Where are we? Oh yeah, the fun guys. I got it. But myconids are. Oh, there's a myconid race that people have created. That's kind of fun. Myconids. Why can't I find this? Myconid. Yeah, there we go. Myconid adult. It's a type of monster. Truth. But it is a plant. Yeah, okay. Beasts, plants. That works. Beasts, plants. Or elemental spirits. Okay, so we'll fuse fuse an elemental spirit with the deep animal companion. How does that sound? If I fuse the deep companion be a beast or plant or what have you with an elemental spirit. Now these guys have got the earth elemental kind of stuff to it too. Yeah, fuse with animal spirit, with earth elemental spirit. That's a question mark. We'll decide that later. We're gonna get there. We'll get there. Telepathic and pacifist. Fun. I don't know that would be good for NPCs, perhaps, not for adventurers if they're pacifists. Although you could have, as in everything in D&D, you can have people who definitely do not live up to their stereotype. So you could have an adventuring Mike in it. That could be interesting. Might not do so well in the sunlight, but hey. Yeah, and that's the thing I'm worried about, is I don't want to say just any kind of creature, because if I say any kind of creature, then you are going to end up having some Circle of the Deep Druid who's going to try and make this little floating mind flayer or this gazer be their beast companion, and I just, no. I don't think that's a wise idea. So I think I want to limit it to perhaps beasts or plants that I fuse with an elemental spirit. And I like that idea a lot, because if we spend some time fusing them and calling upon this earth elemental spirit to fuse with the deep animal companion, that'll enhance the deep animal companion's abilities, give it that stat block that upgrades every time they have a proficiency bonus increase. I'm kind of liking it. I'm kind of liking that. So we'll call that our second level thing. But there's a lot in that. And so I think what I'll do with that whole dark vision thing is, as you are fusing with this earth elemental spirit, you will gain the dark vision as part of that too. Get dark vision too. Dark vision with this fusion. And then that way, it's only going to be one thing that comes at second level, but it's a powerful thing. It's going to give you lots and lots of stuff. Yeah, hook horrors. I think, but again, like that, we're talking monstrosities and things like that now too, and so, there's a limitation to what, actually, I'm gonna go for this for a second. You can have as a warlock, you can have a pseudo dragon as a familiar, but it's not necessarily because pseudo dragons are relatively intelligent. You're not summoning a fae or fiend into the pseudo dragon's form that already exists, like you would as find familiar with a wizard. So it's a little bit different, and there are some warlocks and such that will use quasits as familiars as well, but they are quasits are demons and fiends, so that's a little bit more on point. However, we get to something like hooked horrors. There we go. Hook horrors. So I'm, enunciate. There we go. These guys are monstrosities, right? And they're big too. So they're not really the kind of thing that I would want to have as a beast companion or as a deep companion. So I kind of want to. I think I am just going to make sure I leave it to like beasts. And that's supposed to be an and sign. And plants. And then so I'm going to wordsmith this. I think I like this. But then now I get to go to these other things that we have available to us. So we go to 6th level. Okay, so let's say we got 2nd level done. Got her. Okay, now we're going to go to 6th level. If your druid has no metal on them, then a hook horror would for the most part ignore it. Yeah, very true. Assaults of the Earth. So this was the magic stone thing. And I don't think I put that magic stone in my spell list yet. I put at level 2, I put I could put it here at the darkness and spider climb area and just replace one of those there. He needs to, my dark druid definitely needs spider climb. They need to be able to just kind of walk up walls. That makes complete sense to me. If you're going to live in the Underdark and there's no sky, then you're going to get used to walking everywhere. But I don't know about darkness. I don't know if I want them to be able to produce darkness. They don't have a need for producing darkness because they always live in darkness. So, yeah. let's replace this guy. Let's put Magic Stone there. Because I think that's what you said, Magic Stone was second level. Which would be good, because then they would get it at third level as a Druid. Magic Stone. Let's find that. Oh yeah, that would be brutal. Aboleths as a companion. Oh, and it's a bonus action too, which is even better yet. I appreciate that a lot. It is not telling me what level it is. Why is this not telling me what level it is? Range of touch, 3 pebbles. Oh, it's a cantrip. Interesting, it's a cantrip. It's not a level 2 spell. Okay, what are some other spells that do something like... Well, then we can leave darkness in here if that's the case. How bad would it be for us to just give them Magic Stone as a cantrip that doesn't count against their cantrips? Yeah, 3rd edition Magic Stone is first level, but it's a cantrip in 5th. What other spells do this kind of thing? There's a Crown of Stars kind of thing that does something like it, but that's way up there. Spells. Why? Okay, so this is like shillelagh on rocks instead, though, and so that makes sense to me that it would be a cantrip. I guess I'm just gonna put that on my list of question marks. Is this something I want to do? Do I want to give them Magic Stone as a cantrip? Because that would basically be the Assault of the Earth thing from 2nd edition cantrip. Okay, so now we're going to discuss that later on. We maybe get some votes going on in this in Discord or something like that. Yeah, the idea is that the beast companions or the deep companions are supposed to take orders from the Circle of the Deep Druid. When you have an aboleth, that's going to be less likely. I think it's going to be like the horse leading the cart, or sorry, the cart leading the horse instead, huh? How's about I just ruin a phrase like that? Okay, so the other thing I have here right now is the drawing of the shroud, where you have... Okay, so I'll see if I can zoom this in, because it's kind of tough to see. Or let me flip screens. Maybe it'll be easier to see if I put it here. But let's zoom this guy in a little bit. Oop, that was too far. This is what I had at one point, and then decided I wasn't sure about it. And maybe I just set it so it doesn't sit at 6th level. Why is this doing this? I don't want you to zoom that much. Come on. You can... Oh, for crying out loud. Alright, well I guess that's where I'm going. So the idea was that I was going to create this drawing of the shroud ability. Where your connection with the deep has given you the ability to steal vision and give it to another. As an action, you target 2 creatures, the first of which must attempt a Constitution saving throw. If they fail, they go blind for a minute. And then the second target, for 1 minute, will either gain vision of 60 feet if they have none, gain dark vision of 60 feet if they have none, or extend their dark vision by 60 feet. And then on a success, the first target's dark vision only is removed if they have dark vision. If they don't, their standard vision is reduced to 30 feet, beyond which they are blind, and the effects on the second creature are reduced to 30 feet. So basically what we're doing is we're taking vision from one creature and giving it to another for a minute. If the first creature happens to be successful on the save, they might only lose part of their vision, and the other person will only get part of the vision. I wonder if that's too I feel like that's almost too powerful for 6th, even though it's not like combat in really a combat-y thing. It's more it could be used as combat. That's the challenge. So all right, so that's one I want to keep. I just don't know where I want to keep it. 6th level or 10th level, guys? What do you think? I moved it, sorry. 6th level or 10th level? Maybe we come back to that. The Magmic Embrace. This is the other one I want to pull up here too. Let's pull that back up. Yeah. Okay. I'm good with it. I'm good with that. Magmic Embrace. At 5th level, the Deeping Druid becomes so attuned to the earth that he can summon forth a pool of magma. Now, the thing with this Magmic Embrace at 2nd level is it says that it takes a bunch of rounds to do it. This 1d4 full rounds to do it. Making it basically making it a casting time of like 30-ish to 24-ish seconds. Yeah, you know, Xander, you know who's really good at it is Mini-Me. He's really, really good at doing these things, and so I asked him for advice, and he's the reason I basically crossed this one off, because it's ugly, it's difficult to read, it was not a good thing. I'm just killing it for good and forever. So we can start talking like Magmic Embrace for 10th level then. But I don't want it to take multiple rounds to do. I want them to just be able to call forth this magma. At 10th level, you should just be able to call it forth. And take... Now, the damage die in 2nd edition is obviously quite a bit different than it would be for 5th edition, so I'll play around with that. But I kind of feel like we're going to do Magmic Embrace for 10th edition. Or, sorry, for 10th level, I should say. 10th edition. Oh, man, if I'm around for 10th edition of D&D... Now, what I have written here for me, though, is that I would be able to create this 10-foot cube of magma, certain damage level for each round, but then also use it to get healing out of that, too. So whenever you cause damage, with your Magmic Embrace, it's not only damage to the creature being immersed in the magma, but it's also bringing healing to you. Which is what I was planning on doing with it, to bring it to 10th level, because Magmic Embrace, as it looks right now, this could sit quite comfortably at 6th level, but if I want to amp it up a bunch, I want to make it up to a 10th level thing. So this is what I feel like I'm doing, but now I'm totally stuck on what I'm going to do for 14th level. That guy right there. What the heck can we do here, because I don't have things. So... you'll be happy to make there. I think that's what this next monster manual is going to kind of start leaning ourselves towards, and it's not necessarily going to be like a defined edition. I think that the next monster manual that comes out is going to be more along the lines of we're just going to morph 5th edition into this new being that we're just going to eventually start calling 6th edition. I don't know that for sure, but that's kind of the sense that I get when I'm reading some of the articles about this new monster manual coming out in May. And we'll see. I'm not entirely certain Wizards would want to abandon 5th edition because of how successful it's been for them. But I do also know that... and actually, I don't even think we need... Like, if we didn't change this for a long time, if we didn't have another edition for a long time, we have this bonus of having everybody creating homebrew. And we have this bonus of being able to find that homebrew on something like DM's Guild. And yeah, 5.5. I think that's probably right. And so basically, there's no necessity for it because they've created this animal, this edition that will have a life of its own, and they won't need to do a whole heck of a lot to keep it marketable and keep it successful. So I don't know that they're going to want to abandon this thing. Yeah, that's true. That's true. 1st edition, 2nd edition, 3rd and a half, 4th when they tried to revamp it, 5th, okay, now there's a lot of editions, they just keep on putting half markers on them, but let's be real, they do that with all sorts of things. They do that with video games, they do that with operating systems on computers too. Windows 3.14 was like 17 iterations in, so why they called it 3.14 is I think they were just trying to be pie-y or punny. But yeah, we just do these things. So 14th level Druid. What do we got for some of these other things? Let's go look at a Wildfire. 14th level, they get the bond with your Wildfire Spirit can save you from death. If the spirit is within 120 feet of you and you're reduced to 0 and fall unconscious, your spirit can drop to it instead, and you get half your hit points back and immediately rise back to your feet. Yeah, true, Xander. Okay, that's what they do for Circle of Wildfire. Let's see what they do for Circle of Spores. Basically, make it so that, you know, half work on steroids. You don't actually die, and then you just have you actually get half your life back. That's kind of fun. What do they do for Circle of Stars? We have a Circle of Stars Druid in our Sunken Citadel campaign. And so what is he going to get when he gets to 14th level? You become partially incorporeal, giving you resistance to certain damage. So it's not even a super powerful thing that they get at 14th level. It's just something new and something that you can easily roleplay a lot of so far. What about Circle of Spores, which we also have a Spores Druid in our Sunken Citadel campaign. At 14th level, the fungal spores in your body alter you. You can't be blinded, deafened, frightened, or poisoned, and any critical hit against you counts as a normal hit instead unless you're incapacitated. That's interesting. So really, all these guys have done is gotten a little itty-bitty thing at 14th level. It's not been a massive power boost or anything like that at 14th level. But 10th level had a little bit more of a power boost, and 6th level had a big power boost. So maybe that's what we do, is we do a little power boost. So 14th level, what do you guys think? We're going to come up with some ideas. We're going to come up with, like, let's go with, like, resistance to what? Because we're dealing with stony things. Bludgeoning. Let's do resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, non-magical. There is, but it is limited. I guess I could look at what they got there. Let's go look at what they got there. Let's go look at the Circle of the Land. I need to go to... what I'm going for is something wildly different than the Circle of the Land Druid, though. So that's a good point. We should go Circle of Land. I didn't like that. And, okay, Druid classes. Here we go. Let's find the Circle of the Land Druid. Circle of the Land. Okay, cool. So, Circle of the Land Druids Underdark, they get the Spider Climb and Web at various levels. So a lot of this stuff is somewhat similar. I've changed a few things from what they get for the spell lists. So I don't know if I want to risk this, guys. I'm going to risk this. It might make my screen go epileptic on me, but I'm going to try this anyway. So there we go. Circle of the Land's Underdark Druid. There we go, right there. These are the spells that they get, but this Underdark Circle of the Deep Druid is going to get these spells instead. So there's a few similarities, like the Spider Climb at 3rd level, but there's a lot of, and the Greater Invisibility at 7th, but everything else is quite a bit different because of the lore that's going to go with this. They do have some of those spells back, like the Soul Jar idea is homebrewed, or maybe it's in Unearthed Arcana. I know it's somewhere out there, but I don't know where it is, to be honest. I know I've seen it, but to tell you where I saw it, yeah, that's not going to happen. Immunity against animal and plant attack. That would be like a poison or acid attack, maybe? That's not a bad idea. Immunity to poison. Poison and acid. Or something like that. That's pretty cool. Okay, cool. What do they do here? For 14th level, they do Nature Sanctuary at Circle of the Land. They sense your connection and become hesitant to attack you. So beasts or plants don't want to attack you. They have to do saving throws first for Circle of the Land Druids. So really, we're not going crazy when we come up with these ideas of resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing. I like this immunity to poison and acid. I actually really like that idea a lot. Yeah, they've improved. Somebody improved that Soul Jar. I know it exists somewhere. That's gonna bother me, and now I'm gonna look it up after the stream. I don't know where it is though. It's gonna bother me. You guys. Okay, so resistance, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, immunity to poison, acid. I'm kind of really liking this one. I think that's the winner. I think that's the winner. I think that's what we're gonna do. I know. That's what I was thinking too. As I was looking at these, and I thought that they would be powerful, more powerful too. But nah, I guess at 14th level, it's just like, nah. This is a druid. They're already beefed up as it is. Maybe we don't need to give them anything massive at 14th. Okay, let's not give him something massive at 14th. Let's just give him the immunity to poison and acid attacks. They're very specific, much like this nature sanctuary thing for the Circle of the Land, and these other things for the wildfire and the spore druids too. They're very specific situations you would use that, and so really once you get to 10th level, you've got all the beefy stuff that you want anyway, and it just happens to be an extra bonus you get at 14. So if that's the way it's going to be, then that's the way it's going to be. And I think that's also a good time for me to call it for the day today, because, you know, the day job is calling me. So I think that's where we're going to pause it, guys. Thank you for those ideas. Thank you for helping me work through that. Thank you for also irritating this little thing in the back of my brain that says now I got to go look up soul jars. Thank you very much for the follow, Xander. I appreciate that a lot. We'll be back on, so streams coming up. Actually, lots of new things happening. So tomorrow, there is the Curse of Strahd campaign. Verod's running that. On Friday, there will be our Sunken Citadel campaign, and that's one I'm running. On the weekend, we have two things happening. One's on the Twitch and one's only in the Discord, so you have to jump into the Discord to see it. So the one that's on Twitch is Dynamite playing Yawning Portal stuff, and DM Rogue is doing at 7 p.m. on GM time, that she is doing Dragon of Icespire Peak. We also get a chance to say congrats to Verod, who has actually started up their own podcast now. That podcast is called Roll More, and there should be an advert coming up on it here sometime soon too. But that is exciting because it's on Anchor, and so you can easily download that podcast from wherever you can get podcasts from. It seems... I don't mind you jumping into the Discord and throwing us off. It kind of makes the games more interesting sometimes. In any case, that's kind of what we got coming up, guys. And then, of course, we have our Witchlight campaign that happens on Tuesdays. So that's about just over a week away, obviously. I'm going to try and make a habit of doing some more homebrewy type things on Mondays. I did it today, but I'm going to try and switch it over to Mondays. Awesome to see you guys there. Thank you guys very, very much for joining. And I wonder, actually, do we have somebody we should raid? Maybe we should look. Let's go find somebody to raid, shall we? Who can we raid? Who can we raid today? Who can we raid today? Who shall we raid today? Orenji. We could raid Orenji today. Sure, let's do that. Let's raid Orenji today. I don't know that I'm pronouncing that name right. But we're gonna do it anyway. Raid. Actually, where's my raid button? It's a whole lot easier if I use that. So, yeah, okay, I can't find my raid button. Go figure. Add that. Okay, cool. Oh, there it is. Got it. Okay, raid. Let's raid Orenji. All right, guys. I hope you enjoy the game. That's a virtual tuber that you'll be joining in here. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you all on the flip side. Peace out, guys.